Today is Wednesday, the 1st of spring. It's Thursday actually, and it is exactly 3 months to the day since I did my last yard and fleet update. Now it's spring. What can I show you? Well, an awful lot actually. An awful lot.
Oh, I've got a little Dremel bit. I can just Dremel out these.
Let's start with big news. Anti-Selfie. This is the biggest news on this car so far. Just over 3 months back, I put this car here whilst moving other stuff around. And of course, it's not gone anywhere since. No, and it's not going to go anywhere. But it will be doing soon because it's currently in the process of going into bits. That's right, finally given up on trying. So what's happened today is this car has had its roof lining removed, ready to take out the sunroof. And a bunch of other bits as well. You see, the moment I put this car up for parts, everybody was interested. Beforehand, nobody cared. But now they want all the bits, you know. I should have done this months back. The sunroof, the boot actuator, a switch in there, the door cards, something in there, and then the wings and the scuttle have all been spoken for. Oh, and this as well. Oh, and the headlamps. In the next update, we can fully expect this car not to be here because this isn't just the cars, but it's the yard as well. And being as it is a yard update as well as the fleet, we can assume that in the summer edition, this section of land here won't even look like that. That's going to be full of containers. More on that in a minute. But in front of Anti-Selfie, we have Toby Charles, this car here, the Rover 420 GSI Tourer. It's my car, and I love having this car. Although it is for sale, and I would sell it if somebody gave me the right kind of money for it. But so far they haven't done. I used this car all February. I used it as a kind of birthday treat because so far whilst owning this car, I just haven't really enjoyed it. It's been too precious. I've been too worried about using it because it may get damaged, it may get scratched, it may get somebody trying to steal it. But at the moment, we can see it's actually in van mode. And that's because I was going to store some bits in it whilst moving some things around. Clean bits only, nothing grotty. Anyway, I used this car all month. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I stopped worrying about it and just got on with using it, and I was very glad I did. And now I want to do it again. You see the picnic basket's still in there. Anyway, moving on to something else. The big thing that's happened in the yard recently is this. This space here being reclaimed by the landlord. Well, I say reclaimed, but it is his. I was just paying to use it. And I've not approached the idea of him asking a little bit less for the rent because it's already cheap. And it's a particular hat I don't want to be looking underneath. So what's happened here is this space is all empty except for that car at the moment because that will be moved up there because the skip is going to be relocated to this area. And if you look at the size of the skip, you'll understand that it will need that whole area and not just the bit it takes up. Whilst we're over here, I may as well show you this car. This Rover 25 and a half. The half is it's kind of into the realms of pre-project drive with a Pectron ECU, which of course is a terrible idea. And these turbines, the worst alloys you can possibly ever have on a Rover. It's a nice car, but it does have a rusty bonnet and it does have some scratches on the front. But it's a nice car, but it does have turbines. But then also it has new brake discs. Dr. Crane suffering with his broken arm. What a terrible dream that was. But he's still prepared to be at work doing his job. And he has been working quite hard recently. And he will be again. And of course, keeping Dr. Crane company is the Land Rover Freelander. What do we call this Land Rover? What do we call it? James, that was it. James the Land Rover Freelander TD4. It's a car that Boaty and I disagree on with absolutely every aspect of it. Open the door and climb in. Climb into the sandstone leather interior and the carpets that are the same colour, and it seems like quite a nice car because the interior is nice. It's nice, it's luxurious, and it doesn't stink of dog, even though there are dog hairs everywhere to be seen in this car. So that's quite an achievement. Now maybe this car can do some other achievements that are just as impressive, like selling itself so I don't have to. No, I don't hate it. I just wish we hadn't bought it. It's become one of those cars that's just on the list of things, so many things to do, not enough time to do them. And then of course we have a plan for this. The plan is that Boaty's going to take it and he's going to sell it. And I look forward to that happening. Just behind James, we have the trailer. Yeah, the trailer that was once towed about by Eric, the plucky little Rover 25. So plucky that I named the trailer not after it, but with its name in mind. Ernie the trailer. And Ernie the trailer has suffered a little bit of damage, unfortunately. We can see quite clearly that the bottom has fallen out of it. And that is good news. And when I say good news, I mean I'm glad it's happened here rather than whilst towing it along the road with something heavy in it. But that could have been dangerous and even worse, embarrassing. And then we see the other car that Boaty and I are very much in disagreement with. Fred the shed. I like Fred. Fred is a shed. I like a shed. Look at the state of the roof. It's terrible. Look at the state of the bonnet. It's terrible. Look at the state of the interior. It is rough. But it's plucky and reliable, right up until the point where it gave up being reliable and stopped working. However, since then it's had its fuel pump changed and some other bits going on, the fuel filter, etc. And now it does work most of the time. And it's just down to me now to get the other bits sorted on it for its MOT. And then this could be a rather useful tool indeed. Presently, all it does is just tug stuff around the yard, which has come in handy. But it would be nice if one day it could tug a trailer or pull family around or all sorts of things like that. One day it will happen. And speaking of one days and it will happen, of course Eric, my trusty old Rover 25. In the previous video it was still here, although only for 1 or 2 more days. Now it has definitely gone off to finish being a car, because it's no more. It has gone, well and truly gone. A car that's gone that I don't miss though is the Volkswagen Golf Diesel. What was that called? I can't even remember what that car was called, but nobody seemed to like it. Nobody seemed to want it. It was just me thinking, oh, this would be a good idea, buy this, wouldn't it? We'll buy this, that'd be a good idea. Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't, but eventually it did sell. And we didn't lose any money on it, and that's the important thing. The Golf was originally bought with quite a lot of mechanical work done on it. However, the chap who did buy it off of me did find the turbo went wrong quite quickly. I don't know what he did to it, or whether he did anything out of the ordinary or not, I don't really know. It wasn't me that put the car together, and it's certainly not going to be me taking responsibility for it. Anyway, all's well that ends well, and apparently it's all right now. Then there was a Rover 25 in Wedgwood Blue, which came to the yard because I drove it here and we sold it. Not even appearing. For a month and a half, my daily car was a Rover 45 diesel. It was a good car, but I haven't got it now because I did a swap. I did a swap for a car that I really wanted, and it's this one. The MGF, yes. How suited am I? Why is the roof not up? It's a sunny day, why is the roof up? Well, I don't know, but I'm about to change that now because the driving experience of an MGF with the roof down is one like nothing else. It is fantastic. I have never been more happy driving a car than I am with this. It's fitted with Nigel's steering wheel and a dent in the back. In a previous episode of What Cars Are Not Here Any Longer, 3 months back, we had an MGTF in black, pearl black, a car called Suzy Sunshine. A car just like my F, brought somebody an awful lot of joy and happiness by the way it drives and by the way it makes you feel. However, it spent so long in the yard that it was giving me the opposite effect, but that has now gone off to make home in somewhere like Salford with a man called Steve, who was supposed to be popping around today, but he's forgotten. Very much at the opposite end of the yard, we find George Roger Botti. Mr. George Roger Botti to you, the caravan in which Botti managed to acquire by talking. Yeah, we got one because he talks a lot. And there he is, still here, still in the same corner, no plans to move it. However, there's one improvement, and that improvement cannot be found inside, although it does smell kind of nice and summery in here now. We've had a bit of sunshine going on. Makes me feel all nostalgic. That smell of camping as you open the door. It's lovely, but it's not that. It's this. With the bricks that I happen to have, I've made a little wobbly path so you can get to the caravan without muddy feet. One thing I've never noticed before is, look at this, what's happened in here? This wall looks like it might be just about ready to collapse. Oh dear, that's not good at all. And I thought this wall was bad. Underneath the cover is still the Rover SD1, which may well be finding itself a new home quite soon. Oh no. Where will Ronnie James Dio and Joey Tempest go then? Could be a tricky one. And then we come to a car that is just as dead as it was before. Poor Brian Johnson, or Johnston, as Botti insisted on calling him. And you see this thing stopped working. It's been left stood for a while, and now it's had its steering wheel replaced by a plastic one. The interior taken out to a degree so I could investigate the BCU issue, and that turned out not to help a great deal. Worse than that though, during a bit of a storm the other day, the wind got up so much, to such a degree that it blew this door over whilst it was leaning like that into poor little Brian. Look what it's done. Oh dear, poor thing. But enough about that. Let's talk about something super exciting instead. Yeah, something super exciting, which is an MG ZS 180 in ignition blue. That one just there. Now this rather muddy little car is mine. It was actually given to me by a man called James Martin. You may know him from a YouTube channel called JM on Cars. He bought this a little while back and then discovered that the body wasn't quite as good as he was hoping. In fact, quite a lot worse. However, he gave it to me, I brought it back up here, and I peeled off all of the underseal on the underside of the car that made it look like it was completely rotten, and discovered that it wasn't. It was just underseal. So I scraped it off, painted it again, and it's fine. I am chuffed to bits with this car actually. It needs a few bits doing to it, but nowhere near as bad as I was expecting. The interior is somewhat in bits. No headlining, no centre console. Quite a few bits need to go back together again, including the door card, and that's because of this. This was giving some problems. So the alarm was giving problems, the central locking wasn't working, the horn wasn't working, now it is, and the wash wipe as well. All fixed because of Senior Mustard and his soldering iron skills. Good. So what do I need? Well, it might need some attention to the brakes, and there is a bit of a rattle from the front, but I haven't discovered what that is yet. Jacked it up, can't find anything wrong with it. Hopefully next month this will go on the road. A car with a lot more class but an awful lot less interest is the Rover 623. This one here, the Champagne Gold 623. What a wonderful car this is. Oh yes, the 2.3 litre Honda engine is very smooth. And it's a lovely place to sit. The 600 is one of the best Rovers they ever made. Although it does smell a bit like mushrooms in here. This car has just passed its MOT and will be going into use next week. Whilst we're still down this end, may as well talk about Janet Jackson, the L Series Rover 25 that is so willing to go to work. And it is. This is going to make someone, a particular person, a very, very nice car. It just needs this little bit of welding sorting out, which Allegro man will be doing quite soon. In fact, I can't remember if it's this month or next month. Not too far off anyway. So I'm very much looking forward to that happening and seeing this car have a wonderful life, because the chap who's taken it will definitely be looking after it. And now back into the lockup where we find Tom the Tramp, who is messing around with his car still after many, well, I was going to say weeks, but I mean months, in fact, over a year. Over a year it's been, and it's still not finished, is it?
No.
No, it's not.
He's rubbing it in.
This is the car in question, Peter Torvin. The car that I named because of its registration plate. It's pretty obvious what it should be called. And now, quite soon, the engine that's going to go in there is here, with only a few more bits to put together to make this quite possibly the first 500 brake horsepower Rover 25. Except it won't be that to start with, but it will be at some point. The lockup itself does have an addition, not just this door, not just that engine, not just these MGF wings. No, the bike's the same, these shelves are all the same, but in the fish tank there are now some pets. Look at them. Look at those lovely cute little tiger barbs, all ready for something to eat, and the orange gouramis begging for some food as well. I'm wondering what they're doing stuck in there. Dancing away. Now over there is a car called Christine, which I used last month because I fancied having a Rover 45 for a little while. Having driven my old Rover 45 the month before, the car known as Alfie, I thought I'd fancy having another one of these, so that's there, I could use it, might even be able to sell it. It didn't work, and that's why it's still in the yard. Still working though, still happy to start. Let me inside to its green interior. It's still an entirely pleasant place to be. The only thing is, with having the MGF last month, it meant that this didn't really get a great deal of use because the MGF was just too exciting. Anyway, still for sale if you're interested. Into the lockup of disaster was kept the dented twins, Doris and Daisy. The twins were only 3 years apart, but now 3 years and about 300 miles, because Doris has gone to the land of Kent, where Doris will be happy to repent the loss of her sister, who they only met only a previous couple of months beforehand. This one, however, needs to go the same direction, finding somebody to love it and care for it and want to take it home. Make it their special little green battered car full of scratches. I'm sure it will do the job well, because Daisy here is another wonderful little Rover 25 that just drives fantastically. It's amazing how often they just drive like new. even with over 100,000 miles in them. Next update, this car will be somewhere else. That's what I want. You may be wondering what the deal is with this one here. Well, I don't know yet. I don't know. Hopefully, by this weekend, I'll find out. Last but in no circumstances ever least, Nigel. My lovely little Rover 25 called Nigel. Oh yes, yes, this is the car that has usually got very little to talk about as far as updates are concerned, but this time it's different. And the first thing you will notice is we have no headlining in the top. What are you doing? What are you doing? Alright, well done. And that is because I took the headlining out. I had to take the headlining out in order to fit this Tahiti blue tailgate. Yes, still missing that. I haven't put that on. I still need to a bit of work on this because for some reason it won't tighten up any further. The trophy lamps went wrong and then went right again. I added a bit of purple and then added a bit more purple because it didn't look right without it. Nigel spent 2 whole months in the lockup having small jobs done on it. 2 months when it should have been 1 job to complete it. It took 2 months to not complete it. That's the way it goes here. Further to that, it does have different wheels on to what it did do last time, I think. And this door has been polished up a bit more. And I've lost a tiny bit of lacquer there due to some masking tape. And the mask bonnet is still yellow. The bumper is still green. And everything else is pretty much as it was. But there is one other small thing going on. Eric's parcel shelf living on in the back of Nigel. Fantastic, eh? At some point I shall take these wheels next door to get them resealed, so I don't have to do this every day. And we have a new steering wheel that looks almost the same as the last one. And finally, a rather unexciting oil change. And that's it. And that's it for this video and for this update for these 3 months that have happened and gone by rather quickly. And I thank you for watching all the way to the end because I'm sure it's been quite a long video. Thank you. Thank you.